A posto, dai.
A posto.
Had no clue what, and it was never made, not released in 1936, and it was never made to be seen to the public until 1939 was, because this version was very violent and it was way too scary for children to enjoy watching. Then I scroll more and more through the group posts that I see. Someone also said that it had violence and even gore. I had no clue what they were talking about, so I posted on my group that I was going to a garage sale this weekend to hope to find anything related to the Wizard of Oz. People in my group said hope you find something you like, or that you don't have. The next day it was Saturday and it was around 9 o'clock in the morning, so I drove my car around to find a garage sale which was hosted by an old man who appeared to be around age 75. Even if it looked boring enough, maybe my luck will find anything with Wizard of Oz related things in the garage sale. I parked my car and greeted the old man as he greeted me back. I looked around, but did not find anything that I was interested in, and I liked the on the VHS writing that said Wizard of Oz 1936. I was shocked, because maybe the people in my Wizard of Oz group on Facebook were right about a violent version of Wizard of Oz, but I was.
Le fiabe lo chiamano lieto fine, ma a me piace pensarlo come un lieto inizio, perché la nostra vita insieme è appena cominciata. Questa è la nostra storia. Avrò pure una nuova vita, ma la vivrò sempre a modo mio. Se mi avessero detto un anno fa che sarei finita qui, li avrei presi per pazzi e li avrei derubati.
Adesso ruba solo le coperte e a volte la spazzola e spesso e volentieri l'ultima frittella. Non si fa, non si fa.
Ehi, devo mangiare per due. L'angolo aveva ragione. Vado forte con la maglia. Cioè, mezza ragione.
Chissà se il vero amore esisterà, ma il nostro è la realtà, perché sono tanto persa in te, niente mi fermerà ciò che è destino. Come un ladro di notte t'ho preso il cuore, non è magia ma giuro c'è qualcosa che mi lega stretta a te. Sono stelle e sogni e
Still not sure if I should believe or not, but in 1940s and VHS tapes, I took a picture of it and sent it through private messaging on Facebook to my group members of my Wizard of Oz group. They were shocked and told me not to watch it. And I blew the dust tape, and the tape was all finished rewinding, so I grabbed myself a soda and along with the pizza sat myself onto the couch. My older sister along with my parents were working, so this was a great time for me to watch this strange VHS tape that I got at the garage sale that I went today. I pressed play on my remote and the movie started playing. First there was the warning description which froze for 5 seconds, then played again, and then there was a MGM logo came on, and as the logo came on the screen started flickering. I was about to eject the VHS to find out why, when the screen stopped flickering. Then the Wizard of Oz movie came on with opening credits, but I noticed something was odd. The music for the opening credits for the movie was playing backwards. What showed on the opening credits were all the actors that I do know that played the characters in the movie, and that was all I know. And the rest were people that I had no idea who they were. And then the screen faded to black after the opening credits, and then the words came up on the screen saying copyright 1936. I knew this is what most people on my Wizard of Oz group on Facebook have been posting since I went to work a few days ago. Then the screen started to play the movie. It started off with Dorothy and her dog Toto. They were running away from thing it looked like, but it wasn't. The quality of the film was a bit shitty, so I could barely hear what Dorothy was saying, but what I picked up was,
"She tried to kill you, didn't she?"
I was like, okay, like that I am okay with it, a children's film, but killed. Dorothy never used the word kill in the movie. In fact, she was never like that in the movie at all. The next scene shows Dorothy is trying to tell her Auntie Anne and Uncle Henry about what was going on, but I noticed something on Auntie Anne's face. She looked depressed, like if she was about to commit suicide or something. All she said was, I was shocked by what her aunt said to Dorothy. There was never swearing in the Wizard of Oz. In fact, there was no swearing whatsoever at all. Dorothy was trying to confess something to her aunt and uncle, but she couldn't, so she ended up walking to a nearby haystack, where she begins to sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. While she was singing, the screen froze for 20 seconds. Then it played again, and I knew something is not right at all. After the song ended, it started to play the music, where it was a sign that there was a character who Margaret Hamilton played in the movie. I knew who she was playing, as the whole time, which she played as the Wicked Witch of the West and Mrs. Gulch. I never liked Mrs. Gulch, since she was mean and nasty, but I liked the Wicked Witch of the West a lot more than Mrs. Gulch. She said, He said, as in it sounded like she was mean and shouting, but it felt more of a scream to me.
"What did Dorothy do?"
Asked Uncle Henry.
"I don't."
She said in a rough and rough voice. Then the scene cuts to Mrs. Gulch in the house with Dorothy, Toto, and her aunt and uncle.
"That dog is a f***ing mutant. I am taking him to..."
Then I was like, the f***. Mrs. Gulch never swore in the movie at all. Then Dorothy tries to beg her aunt and uncle to not let Mrs. Gulch take Toto, when they did not, and they placed Toto in the basket, so Mrs. Gulch can take him away. Dorothy then went away from the scene to cry, as the scene cuts to Toto, who was able to escape Mrs. Gulch to get back home to Dorothy. As the scene cuts to Dorothy crying, it showed something which it looked like bleach. Then I was like, what was Dorothy thinking? Suicide. Just because Mrs. Gulch took Toto? I knew it was hard to let an animal go, but committing suicide. Okay, now I notice that was taken too far. Toto jumped from the window, and Dorothy, who was able to turn around to be so happy that Toto came back. We gotta get away. We've got to run away. It was what Dorothy said, as the next scene shows Dorothy alone with Toto walking down the road, where the music changed. It sounded like a silent cat who saw Dorothy and Toto walking. The scene of Dorothy and Toto in the car went pretty normal until when Dorothy and Toto were returning home in a huge wind of Dorothy's family. They went into the cellar to hide, as Dorothy went inside the house with Toto screaming Auntie Anne's name for at least 50 seconds. Then Dorothy was hit on the head by a broken window, as the screen faded to black and said, asks Dorothy if she is a good witch, looked depressed. 839 version 2, that line ever, since I watched The Wizard of Oz from the 1939 version of it. Then Linda, who appears in a bubble, looked depressed. She was in that facial expression like if she was about to hang herself. She asks Dorothy if she is a good witch or a bad witch, and she said, so I decided to talk enough. Done. The wicked plant of Sandy and the wicked and got scared of his horror tape up till like 3 in the morning, as I was so scared of his horror version of The Wizard of Oz. I stayed up till like 3 in the morning, because I could not sleep, after I watched Dorothy being killed. The next day I went to my Wizard of Oz group on Facebook and messaged everyone in my group of what I saw. I had pictures and even a few videos of the footage in private messaging. since I did not want to post it for everyone on Facebook to see, because Facebook could ban me from the website. Everyone in my Wizard of Oz group was shocked about what I found, so I decided to talk to the old man on what I saw when I went to his garage sale. I was lucky enough to remember the street name and house number at the same time. I was then so thrilled to remember the VHS tape. The old man walked inside his house as I sat down on the couch. He asked me on the VHS tape that it said Wizard of Oz 1936, and I told him. When I watched it and what I saw, I showed him photos and a few videos of the footage that I saw. The old man was shocked about it and said to throw it away when I got home. So after my visits with the old man, when I got the VHS tape from that said Wizard of Oz 1936, I threw away the tape and a week later I went to see if the tape was in the garbage. It wasn't. I looked around my whole house but it was nowhere to be found. I never saw the VHS tape again. If you come across VHS tape with a blue star sticker on it that says Wizard of Oz 1936, just don't watch it or your childhood will be ruined.
The Grand Duke shudders in fear as he puts the glass slipper on Cinderella's foot. She tells the Grand Duke that Anastasia and Drizella are invited to the wedding. The prince and Cinderella walk down the stairs to the carriage and waves as she calls to the birds to peck her stepsister's eyes out, which they do. But instead of showing Cinderella and the prince kissing, it shows the birds pecking out Anastasia and Drizella's eyes until they turn into cadavers. The words, "The end." A Walt Disney production appear. I turned off my laptop, ran into the bathroom and vomited in the toilet. I was disgusted about how Cinderella killed the Tremaines, but at least she won at the end. The next day, I went back to the family's house and I talked to the woman about the 1947 version of Cinderella. She tells him that her father wanted the movie to be similar to the original novel. She played a film reel of the making of the 1947 version of said film. Walt Disney says, "Okay, we are here to screen the ending scene of Cinderella. We have James Greenfield here to give us the demo." It plays as Walt Disney shudders in fear. Ollie Johnston covers Frank Thomas's eyes. Ward Kimball holds Fred Moore in fear. Similar to how Honest John was holding Gideon in horror when the coachman was laughing maniacally in Pinocchio. Eric Larson vomits. Mark Davis runs out of the room. It ends, then Walt Disney gets an angry expression on his face. He says while being extremely pissed off, "You're fired." James walks away sulking. Walt Disney apologizes and says that they will make Cinderella more family friendly and delay the release to March 4, 1950.
Il Granduca rabbrividisce di paura mentre mette la scarpetta di vetro sul piede di Cenerentola. Dice al Granduca che Anastasia e Drizzella sono invitate al matrimonio. Il principe e Cenerentola scendono le scale verso la carrozza e saluta mentre chiama gli uccelli per beccare gli occhi della sorellastra. Cosa che fanno? Ma invece di mostrare Cenerentola e il principe che si bacia, mostra gli uccelli che beccano gli occhi di Anastasia e Drizzella fino a quando non si trasformano in cadaveri. Compaiono le parole "The End" a Walt Disney Production. Ho spento il portatile, sono corso in bagno e ho vomitato nel gabinetto. Ero disgustato dal modo in cui Cenerentola ha ucciso i Tremais, ma almeno alla fine ha vinto. Il giorno dopo, torno a casa di famiglia e parlo con la donna della versione di Cenerentola del 1947. Lei gli dice che suo padre voleva che il film fosse simile al romanzo originale. Ha fatto girare una bobina del film, making della versione del 1947 di detto film. Walt Disney dice ok. Siamo qui per proiettare la scena finale di Cenerentola. Abbiamo James Greenfield qui per darci la demo. Suona mentre Walt Disney chiude le persiane per la paura. Holly Johnston copre gli occhi di Frank Thomas Ward Kimball tiene Fred Moore nella paura in modo simile a come Honest John teneva Gideon inorridito quando i cocchieri ridevano maniacalmente in Pinocchio. Eric Larson vomita. Mark Davis esaurisce la stanza. Finisce poi Walt Disney ha un'espressione arrabbiata sul viso. Dice mentre è estremamente incazzato: sei licenziato. James se ne va imbronciato. Walt Disney si scusa e dice che renderanno Cenerentola più adatto alle famiglie e ritarderanno l'uscita al 4 marzo 1950.